Hello everyone, Squintina here, and today we will be going over my Endwalker setup for Gunbreaker. Once again, this follows a very similar approach to Paladin and Warrior, where our basic combo is on the right, and our unlocked actions are on the left. On the right side of the primary, we have our basic combo, as I just said, and Sonic Break. Blasting Zone and Bow Shock are on the D-pad. Low Blow and all the other rule actions will be in the same location as the other tanks. On the left side of the primary, we have our unlocked weapon skills that require having a cartridge, and we have continuation for some smooth weaving while rolling our GCDs properly. We have other rule actions and featuring non-macro versions of Provoke and Shirk, but I will show macro versions at the end of the video if you want them. Next up, we have the expanded that's left and right together, which I primarily use for AoEs. We've got our basic combo, and Faded Circle is in the same location as Burst Strike, which use one cartridge. Bioshock and Blasting Zone are repeated. Double Down is not in the same location, though it is on the left at least, because Lightning Shot has its spot, which all tanks will use for the instant long-range action. I did the same thing for Warrior. Next up, we have our Double Cross Hotbar, which you access by double tapping. On the right side, we have our Jump Ahead. Our self buff will be No Mercy, our 10% party mitigation, our other party mitigation called Reprisal by making the boss weaker, and Arm's Length. These locations are common among many jobs, not just tanks. Bloodfest is where I normally would have an action that gives resources. Nebula is a 30% self mitigation, Rampart is 20%, and these are shared with the other tanks. On the left side, our invulnerability goes up top. Our ability Self-Heal Aurora goes on the bottom, and our single target party member mitigation goes on the right, while another self-mitigation goes on the left. This is a pattern you will see in the other tanks as well, if applicable. You should also notice the pattern of where the self-mitigations are. They are all on the left button. Nebula is left action button, Rampart is left D-pad, Camouflage is left action button. We also have our limit break, our tank stance, and our consumables. Feel free to place your tinctures here. Don't mind the super potion, it's a placeholder. Sprint is on the macro on the right click-in button. I have it dragged to a regular hotbar for visibility, which you can do either via mouse or by using the virtual mouse or touchpad. Okay, the explanation is done. Here is how to set this up. Character configuration, hotbar settings, cross. Then custom. Settings for the expanded. I use set 2. Settings for the double tap. I use set 3. System configuration. Gamepad settings. Button configuration. Macro number 99. So we go to our user macros, individual, last one is 99 for the sprint macro. And just to show the setup again, primary on the right, primary on the left, double cross hotbar on the right, double cross hotbar on the left, expanded. If you are using the same settings that I am, you can utilize the macros in the description to set this up automatically. I also like for my gauge to be in the center. Before we finish, as promised, let's discuss the Provoke macro. First, it tries to use Provoke if it can. However, you might be aware that macro actions do not have action queuing, which means you cannot preemptively use them. This means you either have to time it right, or spam it. But next comes Echo and Party. I did both because Echo is easier for testing than Party Chat, but I expect most people will not have Echo. After that, I copied my entire hotbar to a hidden set called Set 7. Then, I have the macro put the regular non-macro version of the action onto my hotbar and wait 3 seconds. At that point, it copies back the old version of the hotbar. This is why I have a macro lock on this. Why do I do it this way? Let me show it in slow motion. You can see that after I press it, it changes the bar to not have a macro. Therefore, there is no repeating of the party message, and it means that after the initial hit, the other hits can benefit from action queuing. However, we do need for it to go back so that the next time it's back to your macro, but we also need to make sure it lasts long enough. Hence 3 seconds, so it lasts only one weaving window. You might notice that in the macro I have both Provoke and Shirk being set onto the hotbar, even though this is only a Provoke macro. This is entirely optional. However, if you decide to use a similar strategy for a Shirk macro, keep in mind that a macro lock, which I have atop, will stop you from using other macros. In the not completely impossible case that you need to do both a Shirk and a Provoke within 3 seconds, you would end up locked out of one of your macros if one of them had a macro lock on them. By having their macros placed a regular non-macro version for both, you prevent that. It just means you lose out on the party message for whichever you press second. This is optional, of course. I do also need to remind people that I am not a tank main. I'm just a lowly little healer main with huge tanxiety, doing my very best. Anyway, that is my setup. As always, feel free to change anything as needed. I am not you, and it's okay to just use this as inspiration. Before I sign off, do hit that like button, and I always appreciate a comment here and there to let me know your thoughts. I will see you all for the next one. Bye bye.